Okay, so if we finish up this problem, remember we left off x squared minus 14x plus 49 equals x minus 5. The next step is to solve the resulting equation. If you're left with a quadratic, you may need to use the quadratic formula. And look right here. This tells us it is a quadratic, so we are going to have to use the formula. In order to use the formula, we first need to get everything to one side of the equation. So that means we're going to move these terms right here. So I'm going to subtract x. And I'm going to add 5, okay, and see what I come up with. So that'll cancel out, so I have x squared minus 15x, and that's going to give me 54 equals 0. Now that it's equal to 0, I have my a, which is 1, my b is negative 15, and my c is 54. Now here's the deal. I said you have to use the quadratic formula, or you can factor. It is your choice. If you would rather factor, that is perfectly okay with me. This one I am going to plug into the quadratic formula so you can see it though. So I have x equals the opposite of b, so the opposite of negative 15, plus or minus the square root of negative 15 squared minus 4 times a times c, which is 54. That is all over 2 times a, which is 1. So take a second, plug in everything under the radical. So that's the negative 15 squared minus 4 times 1 times the square, negative 15 squared minus 4 times 1 times 54. Okay, so when I typed that in my calculator, I actually ended up with 9. Okay, I'm also going to simplify this other stuff. So I have negative 15, the opposite of negative 15, which gives me positive 15. I still got my plus or minus, and 2 times 1 is 2. So I'm going to simplify my square root now. Square root of 9 is a nice one. So that's just 15 plus or minus 3 over 2. Remember, when we end up with something like this, we're going to do both 15 plus 3 divided by 2, and let's put it, over here, 15 minus 3 over 2. So I'm going to write this both in orange so you can see them both. 15 plus 3 over 2 and 15 minus 3 over 2. So 15 plus 3 is 18 divided by 2 is 9. So that's one of my answers. Okay, and then I got 15 minus 3, which is 12, divided by 2 gives me 6. Okay, so again, this time I'm going to have to find whether it is extraneous. So I need to check twice. I need to check when x equals 9 and when x equals 6. So x equals 9 first. Let's do that. So I've got 2 times 9 equals 2 square root of 9 minus 5 plus 14. Okay, again I do one side of the equation all the way through. So 2 times 9 is 18, so that side of the equation's done. Now let's do this other side. So 2 square root 9 minus 5 is 4. Okay, I'm just going to do my square root of 4 now, which gives me 2. And now I could plug this whole thing in my calculator. 2 times 2 plus 14, which will give me 18. 18 is equal to 18. So that means x equals 9 is a solution. Let's write that in another color so it's easier to see. X equals 9 is a solution. Okay, now let's do the same thing with 6. So I've got 2 parentheses 6 equals 2 square root of 6 minus 5 plus 14. Okay, again, one side of the equation first. So 2 times 6 is 12. Okay, now I'm going to do the other side. So I've got 2 square root, 6 minus 5 is 1. The square root of 1 is just 1. So I have 2 times 1 plus 14. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 14 is 16. 12 and 16, those are not equal. So that means x equals 6 is an extraneous solution. So I know I've put the definition for extraneous all over the place, but we haven't talked about it yet, so let's talk about it. So an extraneous solution is when the values of the variable that you found when you solve the equation algebraically do not make the equation equal on both sides. So right here, it did not make it equal. So it's pretty much when the equation lies to you. Yes, x equals 6 is a solution, but it's extraneous because when we plugged it in, we found out that 12 is not equal to 6. So last step, we are going to go back to the front of our foldable, and we're going to fill out what color this problem was. So I guess there's only one place to put it, but let's just double check. Did this equation have one radical? Yes. It only had one radical up at the top at the beginning of this problem. Okay? And did it have variables on both sides? So did we have x's on both sides of the equation? Yes. So the last type of problem is going to be our yellow or our orange, whatever color you want to call this. And we are done.